These are my favorite and some of the absolute best leveling builds that I've covered the last couple of seasons. And as leveling is easier and faster than ever, I've handpicked the ones that has an excellent transition into the mid-game. We'll cover all the classes with the full build guides, and you'll have all the planners in the description, so you can do less thinking of what to play and more pumping demons and your wife's vagina. But first things first, we need to discuss the seasonal powers. You're going to level up so goddamn fast this season that you'll barely even notice them. Despite that though, there are a few that you should definitely start leveling up as soon as possible. You're going to have a catalyst that you're triggering with one of your skills. Most of my builds here are going to use disintegrate, which is due to it having 100% uptime. For infusion, you're typically going to work on the one element that your build focuses on. For arcana, you can grab whatever the hell you want that is useful, but for pretty much every build, you want to work on fractured core. This one is a must-have for when you head into pits, as this alone will remove every damage resistance aura in there, allowing you to save a shit ton of time when clearing. Other than that though, it doesn't fucking matter. Alright, and starting us off with the builds, we're checking out the Soyborn first. This build is the most fun I've had in a decade. I'd trade my wife, kids, house, and everything I own just to play it 10 minutes longer. But I can't, because I need to provide you with the build so you can also play it. It's without a doubt the absolute best one to 60 Spirit-Born build, absolutely dominating all the way to the end game, one-shotting all content and flying all over the map, dropping wet turds everywhere. You can use it for any difficulty you want, normal to penitent. Personally, I leveled up on expert because that's the type of guy I am. And not only that, because the build perfectly transitions into the best endgame build as well. I'll show you how. But first, how does it work? Well, shit, it's easy. We press quill volley, and everything explodes. No. To generate our vigor so we can press the quill volley button though, we are also utilizing trash. This has the lovely benefit of also teleporting us to our enemies, along with generating ferocity stacks, which in turn equals attack speed. When you also combine this with Ravager, then both your quill volley and trash teleports you to the targets, meaning every goddamn ability you use is a teleport. But not only that, because we're also slapping Soar onto our bars, aka a fucking bird. This is the thing that permanently flies us all over the place. Now this does usually only have one charge. So how do we solve that for permanent bird shitting? Rather easy really. By utilizing intricacy, we get a 0 cooldown Soar ability as we pop our ultimate. And we can pop it like crazy, seeing as we can just keep resetting our hunter skill via Exalted Hunter. And if that wasn't enough, we also have Prodigy's Tempo for yet even more cooldown resets. This does, however, require a few additional skill points. I'll show those later. For the final skill of the day, though, we are also rocking Scourge. This skill is just disgustingly broken. It grants us 50% damage against crowd-controlled enemies and a buttload of vigor generation. Combine this with being able to reset it permanently, and you're just running around with those buffs up all the time. Now, I'm not going to drag this on for too long, but first let's just talk a bit about how you play the build so you don't completely screw it up. To utilize the Prodigy's Tempo, you need to bust out 3 consecutive quill volleys for the cooldown reductions to kick in. This means that it's important that you don't rotate between your trash and quill volley. Rather, you stack up enough vigor so you can press the quill volley at least 3 times. Another important factor to consider is that intricacy is resetting your latest cooldown. This means that to fly all over the map, you need to use Soar before you bust out your ultimate. And for bossing or large elite packs, you want to use your Scourge instead. Whatever you waste it on, don't do it on Ravager. That's the only cooldown you don't need to keep resetting. Other than that, though, you just blast. A few trash, followed by pressing Scourge and Ravager. You'll bust out at least 3 quill volleys and then rotate. And whenever you want to drop a turd somewhere, you pop your saw. Easy, huh? Damn right. Let's head for the planner now and check what gear and aspects you're looking for. Now this is important. You don't need a single aspect or gear piece for this build. I leveled up with just some shitty gear I found in the campaign, but there are 2 aspects that I definitely think are worth picking up along the way in the Nahantu dungeons. Namely, unyielding hits and rebounding aspect. The reason these are on your jewelry is because you won't have to replace them at all while leveling up. So just slap them on and keep them for the rest of the journey. To find them, you go to the Codex and Power to search for them. Easy peasy. The other aspects are only shown so you know what you're looking for, and in the description I have the full endgame planner that you can use when you're in Torment difficulty. The rebounding aspect is nasty because it just flat out doubles your damage. The same goes for the unyielding hits aspect. By gaining more armor, you get insane amounts of attack power. Combine this with the Juggernaut and Disobedience aspect, and shit gets real crazy. When it comes to the Spirit Hall, I'm rocking Harambe as to become an immortal god, and I'm using the fucking bird to gain crit chance early game. For Mercenary, Subo is the name of the game, with his wire trap, so we can gain the movement speed along with cover fire for opening fire for more damage. But honestly, man, you can use whatever mercenary you prefer. Rahir is also another great mercenary to use. Currently, I have him as reinforcement. Hey, will you look at that? It's already skill tree a fucking clock, and you know it, baby. You can ignore the leveling path as per usual. You'll level too fast to give a shit. Just progress your way down and focus on the skills along with key passive before you grab passives. We utilize trash for vigor generation, dashing and ferocity stacks. We then deck out quill volley, of course, and grab some additional damage bonuses. Next, we go for the focus skills, where we have our bird skill. This also grants us unstoppable, meaning no goddamn enemy can ever crowd control us again. Here, we also have a bunch of lovely passives along with Ravager. Using this, our quill volley teleports us as well, along with granting us vigor back. If you want to swap out any skills and try something else, then you can definitely swap this one out for more damage or damage reduction. I'm just using what worked best for me. After that, we go for more defensive passives and pick up Scourge. This skill poisons enemies and crowd controls them, which we gain a damage bonus from. And as you know, we can keep resetting this bad boy, and in turn keep up the damage bonus at all times. It also generates a buttload of vigor, allowing us to spam that quill volley button real good. In the potency skills, all we can grab is simply passives. More damage good, so we grab that. Unfortunately, we can't get easy access to knockdowns, so we're skipping this massive multiplier. If you get the Vortex rune, however, then you can slap that on, pick these passives, and also grab the Vortex knockdown. Next, we have the ultimates. The Hunter is just godly, granting us damage, ferocity stacks, and cooldown resets. It's also a mobility skill, as to get fast as fuckboy. And we also need an ultimate for all of these passives. Other than just granting us damage and healing, spiritual attunement is insanely important as it allows us to cast Quill Volley 3 times in a row for our key passive. Without it, you'd run out of vigor after 2 casts in the early game. Intricacy is another passive we've talked about, resetting our cooldowns. And finally, the key passive, of course. Using this, we gain a substantial amount of cooldown resets, making us insanely agile while leveling and blasting the mid-game. Adaptive strikes and vital strikes are also decent. Feel free to experiment if you want. Great job, friends. Now I just want to quickly show you what you can play in the endgame. There are 2 builds that are simply best. One is the same as this build, just with endgame items, and I'll be linking this one in the description. But it's looking like Thorn's Poison will be the god of Season 9. Either way, you're going to find a link to what should be the strongest build as soon as all the info is out. Next up is the Flurry Rogue. Now this build is an absolute fucking gem when it comes to leveling, and it's also decent in the end game. So how does this bad boy work? Well shit son, it's easy as hell. You press Flurry and you delete. This skill has been getting humongous amounts of buffs the latest couple of seasons, and it's now insanely overtuned early game. Just lovely. Now, here's the thing though. Playing within a sight makes Flurry cost 0 energy and just simply makes the build way more fun compared to combo points, for example. Alright, so why are we using Puncture then, a basic skill? Well, honestly, it's only used for bossing, and when you sometimes run out of energy. You should only run out when you can't hit the inner sight targets, but it can happen early on. So it's a solid backup, but feel free to throw it in the trash as you approach level 50 or so. Other than spamming Flurry though, we're also utilizing Shadow Imbuement. You'll pump this button as frequently as possible for big AoE damage. You'll also use it for energy, and as long as enemies explode, so will you, and gain unlimited resources. When it comes to the other skills, that's easy peasy. Dash is used solely for mobility, Shadow Step is used for mobility along with Unstoppable, and you have Dark Shroud as to not hecking die El Mao. Alright, let's check out the gear and aspects. All of these are simply here to show what stats and aspects will benefit you the most, as you'll keep replacing your items. But there is one aspect that will benefit you more than the others, and that is aspect of encircling blades, allowing you to hit all enemies around you. You can get it in Forsaken Quarry, imprint it on an amulet, and then just keep that amulet for as long as you want. Other than that though, you'll just keep an eye out for gear equipment with the other aspects on and use them while leveling. When it comes to the mercenary, you want to use Subo as your main guy, as he's completely broken. And to make it easy for you, you'll be using the same mercenary setup for all the builds in this video. Seeker grants you map hack, so you'll use it on every character. He also marks enemies, allowing you to gain resources back. You then go for wire trap, so you can grab ready at hand for movement speed, and cover fire, which is completely bonkers as it boosts your crit damage by 25%. Hell yeah. As reinforcement, we're then grabbing Rahar and his Bastion skill, as it grants us some well-needed invulnerability. You can set it to cast on whatever skill you prefer. Just know that the skill has a 30 seconds cooldown. When it comes to the skill tree, ignore the leveling path for fuck's sake. You'll level too fast to give a damn, and I haven't spent much time on it either. You just want to progress downwards, pick up all of the skills along with the key passive, and then go for the passives. We start out with Puncture for vulnerability and resources, and max out Flurry for big damn. You also have some passives here that you'll grab later, where Siphoning Strikes is the most important one to keep you alive. After that, head for the agility skills, pick up some lovely mobility and big damage multipliers. In the subterfuge tree, you have Dark Shroud for defensives, along with some damage passives here. Shadow Imbuement is massively important as to delete entire rooms with AoE, and consuming shadows will fill up your energy each time Shadow Imbuement kills shit. After that, we go all the way down to the key passive, where Momentum is godly for leveling. Seeing as Puncture skills is a marksman skill, it will remove 1 stack each time you use it. Therefore, spam the hell out of the Flurry skill and keep as many stacks as possible, because it grants you energy, damage reduction, movement speed, and a buttload of damage. Just lovely. When you reach level 60, I'd recommend swapping to either the Uber version here or another endgame build, because if you enjoy Flurry, then you'll want to transition into something like this. Just be aware, Flurry is by no means the best rogue build in the game when it comes to the endgame, but it's easy to set up and start farming gear for the other builds. Either way, assuming you want to keep blasting Flurry, then swap to the Uber version and start filling out the Paragon boards. The prio here is to just grab the glyphs and legendary nodes first as you're leveling up your Paragon points, and then start picking up the rare nodes. The strongest legendary nodes are No Witnesses, which you'll gain from the rune system whenever you get a Petrify off, Exploit Weakness, Cheap Shot, and Tricks of the Trade. Other than that, just start filling out the Paragons and you're good to go. Alright, let's head into Woodchopper territory and see what he has going for him. Funnily enough, I made this build all the way back in Season 0, and it has since then reigned supreme as a top 3 leveling build each season. But suddenly, out of nowhere, it received a quadrupling of its damage heading in Season 5, and it hasn't changed since we last saw it. Pretty solid. So, how does this one work then? Well shit, it's quite beautiful really. For starters, it's obviously a landslide build, meaning all the damage we do is from landslides. To spawn them, we have the landslide button itself, but also Poison Creeper along with Trample. And how does that work? Well, Poison Creeper spawns landslides via the subterranean aspect, and Trample spawns them via the trampled earth aspect. These skills does, however, have a long goddamn cooldown, so we need to reset them somehow. This is done with ease using the Pack Leader Spirit boon along with the symbiotic aspect. And the better gear you get, the more resets you will get. You should be able to spam them with close to 0 cooldown. This build is also excellent transitioning into the endgame. Seeing as Landslide is looking to be the best druid build, I can recommend transitioning into a pure bear slider build. When it comes to the other skills, we're using Wind Shear for spirit along with movement speed. Bulwark generates a humongous barrier and unstoppable, and should make us nearly immortal. Cyclone armor is used for damage reduction, vulnerable, and an additional way of gaining cooldown reduction via the symbiotic aspect. More on that later. But first, let's see what you need to start rocking the build. As with the other builds, you don't need shit to get started. But there are 4 key aspects. Subterranean to gain landslides from the poison creepers, the symbiotic aspect to reset our cooldowns. This is only useful when we got the key passive though. Trampled Earth to make our trample spawn landslides and turn it into an earth skill. And Aftershock to double our landslides. All the other aspects are merely used to buff our damage or defensives. For the skill tree, what you need to understand is the key passive, Nature's Fury. We're rocking a mix of earth and storm skills here, meaning we trigger free skills all the time. This allows us to use a buttload of different multipliers and aspects, along with resetting our cooldowns with the symbiotic aspect. And for the Paragons, you want to transition into the Bear Slide build at 60, or any of the other top druid builds this season. I'll link it in the description as well. Alright, that's the Fat Woodchopper, aka the Budget Spiritborn. And now it's time for another class, the Shit-Smearing Barbarian. For this one, the Double Swing Titty Twister is reigning supreme yet another season. Once up and running, it's one of the absolute best leveling builds. It's also possible to swap to Whirlwind once you hit max level and got some movement speed on your gear. Or just keep blasting my man. And how does this work then? Well, that's pretty easy to understand. We spawn tornadoes and they blow shit up. This is done via 2 ways, via Double Swing and Fury Generation, meaning we want to hit Double Swing quickly and also generate a buttload of Fury. When it comes to Fury Generation, we are rocking Lunging Strike. Not only does this generate Fury, but also Berserking and a free teleport, making us fast as fuck boy. On top of that, we either go double shout for fury and damage, or we replace charge and go triple shout. I typically run charge for the mobility early game and swap to challenging shout as soon as I have my aspects, but that's up to you, my man or woman. Either way, you finish off with Wrath of the Berserker for big damn. For the aspects, there are 3 you are looking for. The Wind Lasher aspect, to shoot out tornadoes out of your bumhole whenever you spam double swing. The Devilish aspect, to generate tornadoes via Fury generation. And finally Fierce Winds, to spawn tornadoes whenever you start shouting. All of the other aspects are there for defensives and damage. For the skill tree, there is nothing of importance other than that Lunging Strike is your berserking generator along with Warcry. And as you're in the end game, you're ditching Lunging Strike and will need another berserking generator such as the Anger Management aspect. And for the Paragons, you can keep playing this build for as long as you want to. I have an endgame version in the same planner here in case you want to keep swinging your dick around with double swing. Otherwise, I recommend Whirlwind. For the Paragons, I'm using Challenger and Decimator for big damn and strength. Disembowel is used to reset cooldowns, and we go for Blood Rage for the additional 30% damage. Flawless Technique grants some crit chance, and we have Martial to reset our cooldowns. And for the final board and glyph, we have Carnage and Exploit to grant Vulnerable. Here I have it as 4th glyph, but it doesn't really matter if it's 4th or 5th. Alright, so that was the shit smearer. The Paragon Planner was a bit bugged as of recording this video, as you may see, but it will be fully up to date. Alright, and what the hell is going on with the Necro? Well, shit, quite a bit. I already created a leveling along with mid-game build for the Cringe Lords, and it has since then received humongous fucking buffs this season, making it excellent in both early and endgame. Now, the natural transition for this build is a pure minion build, which is looking like an S-tier build this season for once, with the top build being Boner Spear or Blood Wave. But I don't recommend the Boner builds unless you're max level and have all your uniques and aspects. So just go minions for now, buddy. So, how does this build work? Well, damn, it's easier to understand than any other. Minions are just overtuned. In early game, that is, in the end game, they're perfectly balanced. On top of that, Siva is the highest damage skill the Necro has in the early game. Now, it could be argued that Blood Surge is better in the earliest of levels, so why are we not rocking that? Well, shit, it's due to it being... well, shit. In the later stages of leveling, Blood Surge just feels god-awful to play. For the playstyle, you're using Hemorrhage for Essence, and you're spending the Essence via Sever. For the other skills, you're looking to use Corpse Tendril whenever it is available to pull in enemies and drop the Golem cooldown on them for the AoE damage. Corpse Explosion is also used here, which you should be using for both generating essence as well as blasting down events quickly, and then of course, raise Skeletons to gain a bunch of buddies to play with. As for the aspects, there is not a single important aspect that is needed here, and it will make it rather simple for you. Get an aspect, slap it on, and you'll get a substantial buff. The Book of the Dead is rather important though. First out, you will get a buttload of extra corpses from your Reapers. The Skeletal Mages are there both to buff you and to deal damage, and then you have 2 options for your big boy Golem. The Iron Golem is strong for damage, but I'm still recommending the Blood Golem. This is due to it granting us a massive heal. For the skill tree, this build has the most brain-dead skills possible, meaning that you just follow the skill tree all the way down to the key passive and enjoy your easy trip to level 60. Kalen's Edict also got a substantial buff, making it not fucking useless. For the Paragons, you're picking up Control for massive damage, followed by Cult Leader, which you want to get capped via attack speed, and Eliminator to boost your intelligence as to become real smart. Next, we have Flesh Eater for damage and Essence for, damage. There's nothing interesting happening in the Paragon boards, unfortunately. We just go for more damage via Frailty, which you'll keep up via Decrepify and the Golem glyph. You then have Hulking Monstrosity, which is coincidentally also what your wife calls my, And finally, we slap on the final glyph for some additional damage. Alright, enough of the neckbeard cringe lords. Let's check out one of our favorite classes, the Sorcerer. This class has a gazillion of S-tier leveling builds. My favorite, however, is the Ice Shard build, combined with Blizzard. And why would you want to combine those two? Well, shit. Due to us freezing enemies via Blizzard, we can shoot out a buttload of ice shards all the way from where the sun don't shine. But there is an additional reason I'm recommending this as a leveling build. And that's due to how easy it is to transition into the best mid-game build. Blizzard. It will be the exact same playstyle, just that you're slapping on a few ice spike aspects instead. I'd recommend doing this around level 40 or 50, just as you're done with the campaign. And why are we not playing Blizzard already from the start? Well, damn, my man. Because the glacial aspect, the one making the endgame Blizzard build a viable option, relies heavily on the aspect roll. So if you're unlucky, you get fucked. But once you have a decent aspect and enough mana regen, you'll blast, no doubt. Just drop a few blizzards and run away. For the earliest of levels, we are relying entirely on using ice shards for damage and arc lash when we are out of mana. And that's the main issue of most sorcerer builds, mana. Fortunately though, we'll solve that shit with ease as we've gotten a few levels. We're then grabbing the Ice Shards enchantment, which shoots out ice shards whenever we freeze enemies. And we are freezing them both via Frost Novas and via the Blizzard Chills. It's just that easy, folks. Single target, and on bosses though, you'll still need to spam some ice shards. But when mobbing, you're basically just running around dropping blizzards. When it comes to the other skills, they are merely used for defensives and big damn. Alright, and what about the aspects? Well, there are a few important ones. The most important one being the piercing cold aspect. This one is so good, in fact, that I recommend dropping a nuke on Dead Man's Dredge and getting it as soon as possible. For mana and damage, there are three great aspects here. First out, Frozen Memories, which grants us more avalanche along with the Umbral aspect, which generates infinite mana as we're spamming Blizzard, and Prodigy, which generates mana whenever we press buttons. The skill tree you can read on your spare time, as it's nothing of importance other than avalanche. Seeing as Blizzard doesn't actually do any damage, you want to use the avalanches on your ice shards ideally. But this is only important on the bosses. For the Paragons, I'm linking Lurkin's endgame Blizzard build because he's just an absolute god at the Sorcerer class. And that, my friends, is all for me. You're free to fuck off now.